Hello and welcome to Heroes and Generals. My name is Totally Drunken Ninja and today I'll be giving you a tutorial in the new setup and basics for Heroes and Generals. I'm building this tutorial because of the fact that I have met a lot of people online who don't understand how the basics of this game works. So I thought I'd give you a basic outline so you know just what to do, and eventually I will expand out to tanks and planes and other things like that. But today let's just focus on your main interface and how the setup works. So first thing you need to remember here is that in this game, not only you can't just have a gun and use your bullets. You actually have to have bullets for your individual gun. On top of that, you also need to keep your gun maintained. If you don't have either one of these, for example, if you don't have bullets, you will spawn with no bullets, and there's no way to get other bullets than to steal it from other people. Same thing happens with grenades and etc, etc. So that's that side of it. Now you should originally spawn off with 3 characters. You'll have 1 Germany character, 1 Russian character and 1 American trooper. So that's how you'll basically start off with. You won't get any other choices until you rank up further in the system, which is what down here is for. Basically, once you get up to a level in which you can go up to tank, crewman or pilot, it will then give you the option to click down here, which will let you change over into that class. If at any time you want to swap back, you can click back to infantryman, but it will cost you a certain amount of points. Now, points are indicated up here. You've got 2 sets. You've got your normal currency, which allows you to buy new weapons, new tools, etc. for your fights. Your second one here is your war bonds, which aren't required until later on when you actually have your general status. So that is quite a fair bit on the game. I think it's around about rank 12 or so. And then I think the next part of it then again starts at generals. So once again, that's something completely different for another tutorial. And then your last is your gold credits. Now your gold credits is what you would buy with your normal money in order to actually upgrade yourself in the game. I will have a tutorial about that later on because it depends on whether or not you actually need it. Once again, I'll actually get to it towards the end of this tutorial, so I'll explain it then. Now your next thing is your ribbons. Now your ribbons will indicate as to what you can use and what you can upgrade with your troops. So for example, to begin with the American, you're only stuck with the M1 Grand. You don't have a lot of choice because in order to gain new weapons, you need to rank up in individual sections. So for example, if we go to the SA rifle here, it will give you an outline as to the upgrades for your guns. So that's like an ammunition upgrade, your sight, etc. But then if you get up to rank 5 in your SA rifle, you then can unlock the rifle M1903, which is your bolt action rifle. So once you get up to that point, you can purchase this weapon, but once again, costs you money, more upgrades, etc. Now, same thing goes with a lot of the other vehicles as well. Some of these ribbons will not be accessible if you are one particular faction. So if you're a pilot, for example, a lot of your tank related stuff you can't do, and same with your tank crewman. So what you're going to do is at some point you're eventually going to get up to either a tank crewman or a pilot. And once you choose that particular route, you cannot deploy normally like you can with a troop. Nearly all infantrymen can be deployed in any levels, no matter what you do. When you go into tank crewman, you can only do specific levels, same with pilot. So you actually have to have a request for it, or they need you in the game or so much. So in order to create a new character, you need to click on this little section down the bottom here, your soldiers. Now this will give you your lineup of troops. So at the moment you can see my lineup, which I've got a paratrooper, a tanker, a pilot, and then a bolt action trooper, etc. So now if you wanted to, for example, when you start off, you'll have just 1 troop. If you want to create a new troop, what you need to do is you'll need to go to click enlisted soldier, and then you'd basically have to click on the front one, now the top one, and then depending on what faction you want, etc. If you want some of the other characters here, you have to pay for more money, which was like an instant go to that level without having to deal with it. Thing is normally you have to start off with buying this infantryman, which means you have to start off back at 0 with nothing and have to work your way back up to whatever rank you want. So for example, with all my troops, they were all infantrymen, and I've had to rank them up to a certain point in order to use them. So yeah, etc. Anyway, now when it comes to upgrading along those lines, if you want to upgrade your gun, for example, wrong one, So now you can click on the little round circle thingy over here, which basically gives you your upgrade slots. Now with your upgrade slots, only certain things are upgradable. You have to upgrade them. You have to unlock the upgrade for them through the badges. Once you've unlocked them through the badges, you will then be given the option to unlock the specific upgrade for it. But be aware, as upgrades do cost more money to obtain the gun, to keep the gun running. So what you may find is if you upgrade your gun too quickly, you'll be finding out you won't be getting any credits off of the game because of the fact that you have to spend that much trying to replenish your gun. For example, my other bolt action gun costs a small fortune to run because it's fully upgraded, one shot, everything. The problem is it just costs a fortune to run. The only way to get more currency is to upgrade through the ranks. And when you're like 7 or 8, usually, you've got enough to do whatever repairs you can do to your vehicles and such. Because that's another section again, that your vehicles and that do require repair along those lines. And you can upgrade your vehicles as well by giving them ammo supply crates and such. With planes and tanks, you can upgrade the rounds, so you can make your rounds more efficient. For example, if I have... Where's my tanker? There he is. So for example, if I chose the Sherman and I wanted to upgrade him, there are different rounds. So like for example, your armor piercing there are what you're originally given with your actual tank, but you can upgrade to a slightly more effective round, which is your AP composite, which will do slightly more damage over all ranges. But yeah, they cost more to run, like every other upgrade. So you just got to be careful that as wherever you go touching upgrades, you will be getting costed out more. So now the next thing is perks. Now perks are these things up in the top corner here. Basically, depending on what type you get or what you want to do, will indicate as to how you want to play your game. The more you rank up in the badges, the more effective these will become. So like usually your basic one will give you only a small amount, then medium will be so much again. But like I said, depending on how much you concentrate on a medal on a badge will affect how your medals and that can work. You've got ones that will increase your rate, ones that will increase your clips, increase explosive damage. But just be careful with some of them, because some of them, for example, with explosive damage, it says increased explosives. That only counts for mines and such. It does not count for tanks or actually other vehicles. So a tank that shoots an explosive round, it may not actually work for. So just be careful. I mean, like, for example, I think it was... there's one class I had here that actually didn't work for what I was trying to make it do. I think it was actually the explosives one, because I thought it would increase my damage in the tank, and it actually didn't. It did nothing. So I had a perk on that was essentially not aiding me whatsoever. Now anyway, as you'll get on the game, you'll progress, you'll get more and more abilities to... so you'll get more options as to buying vehicles and such. You cannot buy all the vehicles straight off the bat. Usually you have to start off with a basic one like a truck, work your way up through, I know chauffeur grade will let you eventually unlock, for example, the M3A1 half track, which lets you spawn troops off of it. Once again, costs money to repair, but you have to work so far up that particular badge in order to make it effective. Same with tanks. Tanks are the same. You'll start off with a really crap tank, absolute rubbish piece of junk, which is this thing. Start off with this thing is just mainly built for infantry killing. Like I said, you'll start off getting your absolute ass handed to you with it. So, you know, same with basic things. There will be another tutorial on tanks that will explain the differences and how to use them eventually when I get to it. So, so that's basically your overline for how it works. Another thing I'll quickly show you too is your friends list. A lot of people don't know how to add friends because there's a bit of a fault with it. There's two ways you can go around doing it. One is going into an X game that you had, which unfortunately I don't have at the moment. But normally you'd go into this bar and there's like a little square thing next door to it. You click on it, it brings you up a little map and basically shows you your last game you played, your score, etc. There's a little ad next door to your character's name. You can click on that and it will let you upgrade your unit. So it'll let you add it to your friends list. The other option is by going to your actual friends list and hitting the plus sign. Then you can enter in the email and hit enter. Don't do anything else. If you don't hit enter, for some reason it won't load when you hit the actual add friends part. So it's really confusing. I don't understand why they've done it like that. So anyway, the only other thing to really speak about is the generals part. Generals is not useful at all whatsoever when you're not a general classification, when you're not up to your generals, because it's all to do with actual mapping and strategy and stuff like that. Once again, I haven't gotten this far in the game myself. I've put about 200 hours into it, so nowhere near it yet, but basically it tells you an outline of the war and how it's going. So that's another thing I should explain too. Now, if you're a beginner at the game, it's suggested that when you go into enter combat, you do what's called a stage battle. A stage battle is a fight that's basically 1-for-1. You all start off on the same page, you have the same tanks, the same plane, etc. You work your way down the track. Eventually you will gain, either advantage, disadvantage. Basically it starts off all the same. War though, be very careful with, because it is designed to be unfair. It's made to have you on the back foot. In some cases you may be versing classes twice your size with planes, bombers, etc. That will just absolutely kick your ass if you don't have the correct upgrades to fight it. Especially with if you use the first tank, it's definitely not recommended to use the first tank in war, because everything else other than that first tank is basically gotten a capability to kill other tanks. You can upgrade that first tank to be able to fight other tanks, but it's really ineffective compared to a lot of the other stuff. In order to do so, if you select your tank that you have and go to your upgrade slot and you change your rounds to the non-factory setting armor piercing, you will be slightly more effective against taking them out, but it's not guaranteed. You'll have to literally get the jump on them, keep moving, not even worth bothering them more. So another thing to remember with tanks and basic vehicles is you can buy ammo crates and such for your back of your truck. So like an infantry supply crate will give them ammo and health. Anti-tank will give them a Panzerschreck on the back of the back. So if you're running into tank problems, there are other troops that can grab the rocket launcher off the back of your truck and use it to fight against them. Only reason why I don't usually have these equipped is because of the fact that people abuse it too much. You'll just find in a lot of the fights you're playing, they'll just run up and grab a rocket launcher, run into a fight, get shot. Oh look, there's a waste of a rocket launcher, if you've got mates, then if you're playing with friends, I would highly recommend doing it. But if you're playing with random people, just turn it off. There's no point. Just people abuse the hell out of the system. Same with like your Jeeps too. If you're an American trooper, your Jeeps, the actual ammunition on the back of your truck gets taken out of your repairs. Idiots just get on the back of them and shoot them for no particular reason, so you end up losing a 10 ton of credits, and yeah, in the end of the day, it's not worth it. So just be wise about who you're playing with and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that gives a basic tutorial on how this works. If you are interested in doing some training or practice, there is an icon at the top here. If you go into that, it'll give you a basic overview as to how to use your zoom, range, and all that kind of stuff, which I will have a tutorial on myself. But, this is the game outline, and also if you do the training through the game, you also unlock First Blood, which is a little perk that just basically increases your stamina. Considering you start off with none of these perks to begin with, it's a great little one to give you a little advantage, not too much. But yeah, otherwise than that, that's been my tutorial, and hopefully you enjoyed it. I am going to try and do some more of these, try and help out some of the new people in the game. So yeah, have a nice day, and yeah, hopefully we'll catch you on one of these other tutorials. Thanks, bye.